Nice, France. Well known for its sea, sun and expensive things. A 33-minute drive from Monte Carlo, it's a very popular holiday destination among tourists. However, retreating from the coast and away from the busy holidaymakers, you will find the magnificent Alps mountain range and people hard at work throughout its peaks, namely, Jesse Yates. Jesse is a 23-year-old British cyclist from small village Forest Row in East Sussex. For the last year, he has ridden for Team Wiggins, junior cycling team created and run, unsurprisingly, by Sir Bradley Wiggins. With the guidance of one of the most successful British athletes of the modern era, Jesse has ridden all over Europe, racing and training, preparing himself for this moment now, where he has reached an age too old for junior cycling. I followed Jesse for one weekend in his 40-day training camp to try and understand the training requirements for a professional cyclist. Following Jesse's departure from Team Wiggins and the junior cycling setup, he has joined cycling team Active Edge. Jesse, along with his new team, will compete in a number of races, starting in March 2019 and finishing at the end of September, with the aim to collecting as many credits from each race as possible. A high level of points to add to some eye-catching performances on the track will help to get Jesse's name noticed by cycling's most significant names. Over the coming months, Jesse will begin putting his training into work, with the first race fast approaching.
It's called Wollongimba. It's just a National B, not the highest grade race, but it's near Tunbridge Wells. And then 2 weeks after that is the first Premier Calendar of the year, or the National Road Race Series. It's like all the best teams in the UK do it. And that's what I said, like when I said I was like 9 weeks out maybe from that. That's obviously the main target, because it's in those kind of races where if you do a ride, people know about it, or like they're the ones you want to do a ride in, you know. Because if you get a result in that, then it's like fair play, you know, like because you're racing against, like I said, like the top guys in the UK. Well, the idea is to just get onto a team that have a good platform to go to the next level, like another step. Like, obviously, the idea was when I went on Wiggins, I wasn't necessarily at the continental level, you'd say, you know. But then, so the idea was this year was like, okay, it's a big step up, but then it's like sink or swim. It's like, the idea is I wanted to come out of the year and say, I'm at a level of a continental rider, you know.
Jesse is not the only cyclist in the family. Brother Liam used to cycle competitively, but now works as a bike mechanic in Brighton. However, it's Jesse's dad, Sean Yates, where he gets his pedigree from. Sean, aka The Animal, finished 6th in the 4,000 metre individual pursuit at the 1980 Moscow Olympics, and was only the second British rider to have won a yellow jersey at the Tour de France. Since retiring in 1996, he has tried his hand at management.
My coach is my dad. Oh, he's just gone independent. Sean Yates coaching now. Like anyone, like he's just a coach. He's anyone can get coached by him if they want. He coaches like quite a few people, a lot of people from the southeast. I don't know. I just don't know if I trust someone else or you just train. It's not rocket science how you do it. You just train. You train hard in general, really, and then if you got it, you got it. If you don't, you don't. Like, keep him level-headed. Like I would say there is pressure, yeah. And he's the only one I don't feel pressure from anyone else. I don't actually care what anyone else says. To be fair, like, just water off his duck's back. Like, I don't really care what anyone else says. Like, and sometimes I don't even care what he says, or especially negative stuff, because there's always negative stuff, and you just gotta. Yeah, I don't really care what anyone else really thinks. I only really care what his opinions. Only, like, I don't really think about anyone else's. Yeah, it's not pot luck, and nothing is like being pot luck. He doesn't give anything. Like, he supports me. He's really supportive. He's always. I wouldn't be here without him. And needs without him, you know. But like, when I meet people that knew him or know him, they and they might not necessarily even met me before, but because they know what he's like and they know him and like they knew him well, they instantly vouch for. I'm instantly vouched for. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the role of coach requires honesty and straight talking, if need be.
And I hadn't made the jump that I wanted to. It's like, maybe I'm not going to make a jump because no one knows when their ceiling is, when they're going to hit their ceiling. And even Sean said, well, maybe it's just that maybe you haven't got it. Like, maybe after this, maybe just see this year out, enjoy this year with the Team Wiggins and stuff, and then call it a fucking day. Legit, he said that, and when I said before, like, he's the only opinion I actually give a fuck about, really. Like, other stuff you take on board, but he's the only opinion I actually think about. And he's saying I should pack it in, almost, legit. So then I didn't stop going training though. I still went out training, you know, and you still commit 100% until I proved that I hadn't hit my ceiling. The only person's opinion that actually mattered didn't believe in me.
Is it lonely at all, mate?
At times. Like, what do you mean? Like, when I'm riding?
Yeah, you know,
or
obviously you're
just at home.
No,
or
like when you're on these rides, long rides by yourself.
I wouldn't say lonely, no. I wouldn't say just fucking riding. I don't know. I like being on my own.
Yeah.
I don't like fucking talking to people. I like being off grid. I like being in the sticks. Don't like seeing cars. There's only a few people that I like going riding with, really, like, that I would go riding with for a long ride and it'd be calm. Otherwise it's just like, I don't like it because riding's my time. It's my, like, personal space.
Yeah, man.
So there's only a few people that I like going riding with, really, for like a long time.
Yeah, fair enough.
I won't say lonely, you listen to music, you just think. It's a lot of thinking time. Like, I don't know when normal people think.
Professional cyclists are some of the most fit individuals in the world. Those who compete in the famous Tour de France must complete around 2,200 miles in 21 days, traversing incredibly tough roads. In addition to an abundance of training and time spent on the bikes, a cyclist's diet is equally as important.
That's a tricky question because, like, I've never been race weight, or what would be a race weight. I've always been overweight, really. But it's also tricky because, like, so when I started, I was really overweight, and then I've kind of chipped away at it. Trying to improve. I'm growing, and I never really kind of fully knuckled down compared to some, like, playboy who's, like, been racing since they're 8 years old, you know, and they're like this, and their legs like this. Like, even when we used to play football, my legs were never skinny. I was always the one who getting fights, like me and Rufus, you know. Like, I love fighting, but I don't fight, but I wind them up. I'd always be the one getting fights, I swear. I like it. I like that competitive. That's why I like people like Diego Costa. I like the fact you wouldn't be surprised if you just, like, killed someone or, like, punched them, you know. I like that, like, anger. But yeah, I try to tighten the diet, which is chipping away at it. Like, I've come on a lot since last year, working with, like, nutritionists and stuff, and now I don't know why, but all of a sudden I feel like I've turned a corner where I'm kind of like old enough and I've developed more, and I'm finding it easier to lose weight. I seem to be toning up a lot more, or like because I'm older maybe, and I've stopped growing. I seem to find it better. But yeah, like people call you fat, like everyone calls you fat. Yeah, everyone calls me fat, but then you talk to some. Yeah, everyone calls you fat. Like when I was in Italy and stuff, everyone's like, "Oh, you're fat." Like I don't care. Like, well, I know it. Like I don't know if you've seen me when I go out riding. Like you see shop windows, you look in reflections. Do you see me? No, when I'm riding along, I look in reflections of windows, and someone might be thinking, "Oh, he's big-headed. He's looking. Oh, I look fucking like nice." But really, I'm just looking like, do I look fat or not? I'm not necessarily looking, oh, do I look good? I'm looking, oh, do my legs look skinny? Do you know what I mean? But like, yeah, people, it's kind of a tricky game to play, because like sometimes you think, oh, I need to lose a bit of weight, and then you could be like, some girl might be like, oh no, you're good where you are, you know, you're one good, like I don't know, and it's like, yeah, I need to get fucking lean though. And it's like, oh, your legs are fine, they're just mostly because you're a cyclist. Like, nah, I need to be fucking like, I need veins popping. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's funny how that kind of like goes down.
It's not all fun and games though. The high speeds, the tight grouping of the pelotons, and the intense competition can make for a dangerous affair.
Yeah, you've seen some fucking bad crashes. You hear them a lot. You hear them in races. Sometimes you think, oh, they sound so grim. But like I said, like I was talking when I done that trip in August. So, or even before then, really. But like I remember, I wrote in my blog, just like you hear some people crash. As long as no one you're really like close to getting fucking fucked. In 2017, in France, this guy who was on this French team with me, he went down in a race on his fucking face. I didn't see it, but he went to hospital and stuff, and then I was at the house. He came back. He looked like a fucking mummy. I'm not even joking. He looked like a mummy. Everything. His hands, his face in bandages. I didn't want to look at him. That sounds harsh. You don't want to see that shit, because you get scared, and when you get scared, then you can't race. And sometimes when you crash, sometimes it takes a while to get back into it. That's what you do, you just don't think about it. Because like, and sometimes you can be so close to crashing. He came back, he's all in bandages, and he was on morphine for 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, he couldn't remember anything. He couldn't remember anything that had gone on for like 2 weeks. He was just sleeping every day and stuff. He was on like, and you know, you're not wearing any padding. You know, sometimes you come off. I've never broken anything, so it's crazy how sometimes you come off so lightly. But then like I smashed my head a couple times bad. One time I smashed my head real bad. And if I didn't have 2 times smashed my head bad, if I didn't have a helmet, I'll be dead.
How many times a week are you going to do a ride of this size?
Maybe you wouldn't. I don't know. You wouldn't do more than 2, maybe. Like, and that's solo, so. And there's a lot of climbs there. I think it's 3,800 meters gain. Just riding tempo on the climb as well. Yeah, you wouldn't do much. You maybe do 1.
And how many?
This is a fucking big day. So.
How many days out of the 7 days? What's the?
You
training?
probably ride 5 days. Maybe do two big days in a row, or 2 big days in the medium day to do a 3-day block, and then you'd want to rest. It doesn't always work. Some days, maybe some weeks you might have 3 days off, because you don't always work to a week specifically. You just do blocks.
What do you mean by block?
Like training block, like train 2 days in a row, or 3 days in a row, or even 4 days in a row. Yeah. The 4 days in a row, obviously you'd be a bit fucked if you're doing decent enough ride. You'd be fucked. You'd have a whole day off, probably, and then maybe an easy day, because you've got to recover. It's like recovery is when you get better.
Yeah.
but sometimes you've got to push yourself really fucking really hard, but then recover hard, you know. But yeah, because it's like you can't whip a dead horse. A dead horse is not gonna fucking move, so you got to let the horse recover and then whip it a bit more, you know. I'm getting whipped right now.
Hoping to make 2 sets by the end of it, really. I wanted to come out of the year felt like I'm strong enough to stay at this level, and I definitely feel like I came out of the year with that. Obviously, it's quite a difficult situation in the UK with the teams folding, and then it was scramble, and then now these other teams have propped up, these other continental teams, but they're just it's not really. They've only kind of propped up because the other teams folded. Do you know what I mean? Condor obviously gone. They're a good setup, you know. But then who have they been replaced by? They're not being replaced by anyone who have a similar setup. So the idea is to step up back to that kind of continental level, but one that has a good kind of base for going to that next level, because you don't want to get on the wrong setup and then because you can just waste a year. I don't want to race in the UK. I don't racing in the UK is fun and all, but the other day Gaz was like, "Oh, what do you want to do? What do you want to race as?" And I was like, what do you mean? Just in the future? And I was like, yeah, well, the idea is Pro Conti or World Tour. That's the goal. You don't want to have. You can't say, "Oh, I want to race in the UK." What's in the UK? I wouldn't be happy with that. I don't think I'd even do it. You know. But obviously, if there's a team like Condor was a good setup, they race abroad a lot. That's what you want, races abroad, because all due respect, and this is a UCI event, these European teams don't care about other races, you know. So the idea is to come out of the year and be joining a team that have a good race calendar, that race in Europe or race with pro races, you know, like prestigious races where if you get a result, a team from the level up are going to look like fair play. That's a result we can bank on, rather than say them looking at some prem race. They're like, okay, he might have I don't know, maybe he got a good result in that, but who's he against? Do you know what I mean? They don't know who I'm against. They might know one or two, but otherwise they don't know who I'm against. Do you know what I mean? A team that's labelled Continental, which is the first kind of table as which they call Pro. You've got Continental, then you've got Pro Continental, and then you've got World Tour. World Tour's the top. So there's 3 levels to it. So the idea would be go to the Continental, because UCI, because they're the UCI ranks, like UCI Continental, and then they do a lot of UCI races, and a UCI race is respected because it's a UCI race, you know. So the World Tour teams or the Pro Conti teams and do you know what I mean? They all respect it. There's different levels of kind of Conti teams, because you've got English Conti teams they don't pay anyone. They might pay one cat. They don't. Do you know what I mean? But then you say you've got a Conti team like a Euro Conti team. Some of these Euro Conti teams, they're proper setups. Like Uber, the French team, they've got a proper setup. They'll be paying their riders a lot of money, and they're doing a lot of good races because it's a French team. A lot of racing, a lot of good racing in France, a lot of UCI racing in France, you know.
By making the transition from junior cycling to senior cycling, Jesse, through putting his body on the line for the sport that he loves, has learned that nothing in life is easy. And if it was, everybody would cycle 80,000 kilometres up and down mountains each day. Whether it be battling with the lack of opportunities available in the UK or defying his dad's recommendations, Jesse is now firmly at the handlebars.
I didn't stop going training though. I still went out training, you know, and you still commit 100% until I proved that I hadn't hit my ceiling.